Hello, and welcome to this video of the intro to Tableau. With this video, when you're done, you'll be able to have a basic understanding of how to use Tableau to build reports and graphs that you can show to users and interact with. During this call, I'm going to show you how to sign into Tableau, how to open a new workbook. I'm going to show you the components of a Tableau workbook. From there, you'll be able to start to build various reports and graphs. We're going to walk through a simple report first, pipeline by opportunity stage. And after that, we're going to get a little more detailed, making a pipeline by timing. I will show you important functionalities such as creating a calculated field, adding color, adding various sorts, and other important pieces of information you can add to your report. I'm going to show you the Show Me functionality in Tableau. And at the end, I'm just going to give you an advanced example of something that you'll be able to work towards building in Tableau once you feel comfortable and understand all the basic components. So with that, let's dive in. First, you're going to have to sign into Tableau. You will always use ProMock Inc. and your username. And what your password is going to be is the same as what you use to log into your actual computer. So anytime you do an update onto your computer to log in, that will also change how you log into Tableau. When you sign in, this will be the screen that you see. You will have projects, workbooks, views, and data sources. Eventually, you might end up coming into various ProMock built reports, or you might open up a workbook that you've already created. But today I'm going to show you how to start building a workbook from this point. You're going to click on data sources. Now, I might have other data sources available that you might not see. You're going to be given ones that are applicable to the jobs you are going to be working on. I'm going to walk through opportunities using that data source today because, as I mentioned, I'm going to show you how to make a pipeline by stage, opportunity stage, and also a pipeline by timing. So I'm going to just work within the opportunities data source. I find the data source that I need. I can click on the ellipses, and it'll give me a drop-down option. I'm going to select New Workbook. And that brings me into Tableau. So let's go over some of the basic components of Tableau so that you have an understanding of how we can start building the report we want. First thing I want to highlight are dimensions and measures. These are basically your building blocks. Dimensions are anything that is sort of what kind of data do we want to measure. This will oftentimes go back to the types of fields that we have in Sightline. So for example, since we're using opportunities, things you might see here are built to information about the customer, various things about the opportunity, what's its stage, what's its source. It's not necessarily the numeric value of a measure, but really kind of the labeling of it. Dimensions are always blue. Then we have the measures. This is really the quantifiable data. This has those values and numbers behind it. And that's always in green. So as you can see here, for example, estimated value. So how much money is an opportunity worth? The number of records, you'll end up using this quite a bit. I find it very helpful, but this is actually the numeric count behind each value. When we talk about dimensions and measures, anytime we refer to the actual specific kind of object, they're called pills in Tableau. As you can see, it kind of, when I highlight over it, it turns into a little pill shape. And as we start to interact with them more, you'll see that it always sort of resembles a little pill. The next thing I want to highlight is filters. As we go through the examples today, we'll be putting filters onto reports. Just as you would use, for example, in Excel, that you have a massive amount of data and you want to narrow it down to something specific, we'll be adding filters into our reports so that the data we're seeing is only reflecting that data which we want to see. We'll also be using marks today. Marks will help you provide extra data and information in your report without overwhelming the users or those looking at your report. You'll be able to provide extra pieces of information without making the report itself too busy or too detailed that you're unable to read it. This is the workbook itself. As we start to build things, you will see that it will become populated and change as we add more information in. And up here we have the columns and rows. So we're going to use the pills on the left-hand side and start to populate columns and rows to help build out our reports. So now that we have an understanding of the basic building blocks in Excel, let's start to make a report. So the first one we're going to do is very simple. And with this, I'll be able to show you how easy it is for you to begin using Tableau. We're going to make a report on pipeline by opportunity stage. So with that, we're going to say we want to know the estimated value, the amount of money in the pipeline, broken down by where is that opportunity in the process of closing. So as I said, I want my estimated value because I want to know the quantity, like the dollar amount with each opportunity. I'm just going to simply grab my pill. I'm going to slide it up here to columns. So right now we just have a giant line because there's no way to break this data down. So I'm going to come over here to opportunity stage, and I'm going to grab my pill again and simply slide it into rows. So as you can see now, I'm starting to get some sort of graph being built. I have dollar amounts assigned to the various stages of the opportunities. One thing to take note of, though, is that when you begin using a workbook, all the data is in each of these pills. That means what we see here is every single opportunity that is currently available for us from the data source. However, opportunities change in terms of their status. They might be active, they might be closed won, they might be closed lost. So when I'm looking at this data right now, since I put no filter on it, I'm seeing everything. And this then is not a proper representation of the active opportunities in my pipeline. So I need to put a filter on my data. So as I said, what I want is an active status opportunity. So I come over here to opportunity status. I grab my pill again, and this time, instead of putting it in columns or rows, I'm going to put it into filters. When I put this in filters, over here on the right-hand side, you see now that I have a filter option. This works again just the same as if you were using Excel, for example. I have a checkbox for all, or I could come in and select various opportunity statuses. I'm going to uncheck all, and I'm just going to select my active and pipeline. So now you see the graph has changed immensely because we've removed all those, for example, closed won opportunities that naturally would have been in like the sell the product stage because it's closing. And it's given us just the details that we want. So now if I look at this graph, I can see all active opportunities in the system, and I can see the estimated values broken down on which stage they are. And that is our simple pipeline by opportunity stage example. So you can see this was very easy. You just grab the pills that you need, slide them into your columns and rows, and add a filter so that you ensure you're looking at the data source combinations that you want. But let's take it a step further, because there are going to be times where just doing a simple 3 drag and drops is not going to be enough. So let's kind of dive into a couple more things with Tableau. I'm going to come down here to my little kind of plus, and I'm going to hit a new worksheet. So if you want to create worksheets that should be grouped together, instead of constantly going back to the data source and opening a new workbook, you can create everything within one workbook, and when you save it, all sheets that you have will be saved. So there might be a time that you have 3 different reports, you want them grouped together. This will be a great way for you to do that. Just come within the workbook and open a new sheet. So I have my new sheet, and again, I know with this one, we're going to do pipeline by timing. What I mean by that is, again, I want my active opportunities that are in my pipeline, and I want them broken down when I say timing, not by, the next month, like October, November, December, et cetera, but I want to put them in a different kind of context. I want to know what's past due as of today, what is projected in the next 30 days to close, then 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days, and et cetera. So let's start with some of the basics we know we need. Again, we need estimated value. I grab the pill, slide it up to columns. I know again that this time I need to have specific opportunities, ones that are only active. So I'm actually going to take this and put this again into the filter. And I'm going to select my active and pipeline. And this time, instead of stage, I want a projected close date. And I want that broken down. So I'm going to select projected close date and slide that up to rows. So I'm looking at this and I'm not really pleased with how this looks. I do want to highlight one thing before I show you how we are going to manipulate this data to get it in the correct pipeline settings. But I want to highlight that anytime you see a plus sign on your pill, you can actually hit that, and what it does is it'll start to break down your data in a very logical sense. So when I hit that, now I can see the projections by year and quarter. I could drill down even further to say months. And if at any point I wanted to roll it back up, I can simply hit the minus sign and bring this back up. Now, this doesn't look like what I want. I could sit here and try to get the data to work through a natural filter. So I could take my projected close date and put it in the filter. And I could say, well, I want everything from today, which, say 10, 2. And then that'll change a little bit. But if I open it tomorrow or the next day, it's still going to have this filter of a specific day. I could come in here and begin to say, I want to browse certain periods. Maybe I want 3 months. But again, that won't break down the data the way that I want it. So this is a time where I have the information that I need, just not in the format that I want. I'm going to remove this from my graph simply by grabbing it and dragging it back to dimensions. And now we're going to create something called a calculated field. A calculated field allows you to take these pills and put new parameters on them to create a new pill with your data dissected the way that you want it. I'm going to come up to analysis, and I'm going to do create calculated field. I will give it a name, so I'm going to say pipeline by timing. If you've ever worked in SQL or in Excel, it works a lot like that in terms of having, for example, the function options. If I click the little triangle, it'll open up all the different options I can use when I'm creating a calculated field. So if, just say, for example, I wanted to create something on finding a sum of various information. If I highlight that, it'll show me what does the expression actually provide, what will it return, and it'll give an example. Just so you know, anytime you see wording in kind of the square brackets, that is directly referred to an already existing pill. So when you're building your calculated fields, any pills that you are using will go into the bracket. I'm going to close this. And just to save on time, I've already written a calculation. So what I'm saying here is if my projected close date, so again, that was my pill, you see it in the square brackets, is less than today's date, then I want to assign it the value or grouping of past due. Else, if it's equal today's date, but less than the next 31 dates, then I'm going to say next 30 days. And then I go on further, breaking them down into all my different pipeline by timing groups. I did put an error in this calculation specifically, just to show you how this works in Tableau. I'm going to paste this in here. And as you can see, it says this calculation contains an error. So I've got a red warning. And if I click on it, it'll tell me where it expected something different. So I see right here, this if is highlighted with red, and that means something is not right about it. I'm going to change it to else. And now it says my calculation is valid. So I have confidence that the calculated field I've created will work, and it will break down my data and dissect it the way I want it to. So I'm going to hit OK. And now you can see over here under my dimensions, I have a new pill, and it's called pipeline by timing. I'll be able to use this just like any other pill. So I'm going to grab this and slide it up to rows. Oh, I was like, something's wrong. I'm going to remove this filter because we had put that random kind of filter on there. So I'm going to get rid of that. Here we go. Now it's looking the way I want it to. So what this is doing is grabbing my filters based on all opportunities with the status of active, my estimated values, and now it's created that pipeline by timing with the various groups I put. So I have my past due, my next 30 days, my 31 to 60, and so forth. So this is looking good, but I want to be able to express a little more information with this. For example, I think anything that's past due, I might want to highlight in red so that the users are drawn to that to say, hey, something is wrong with this. We should maybe act on those. At the same time, those things that are going to be closed in the next 30 days, I might want to make green to say, hey, go, 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 let's get this closed. And then anything beyond that, I might want to just put kind of in a neutralish color, just so that when you're looking at this, you're not so overwhelmed with the information. So let's start to kind of organize this and sort it in a way that we like. So you have some options with sorting. You could simply come over here to your various columns and rows values, and you could just hit the ascending or descending. So if I hit by estimated value, it's going to group it in descending to say the thing that's the greatest, we'll put at the top, and so forth. I could also say, let's do pipeline by timing. Well, it's going to go more in kind of an alphabetical sense. So those values that are numeric, it'll put first, and then actual alphabeticals after that. Well, neither one of this gets me the sort that I want. I want it to be chronological. So I can come up here to my pipeline by timing because that's what I want it to sort by. And I can hit my little arrow and select sort. This will give me some options. Do I want to sort, for example, alphabetically or by fields? In this case, I want to do a manual sort because I want to go against the natural logical rules that it feels are its options. And I want to say, no, I expect a certain path. So past due for me should be first because I'm going to go chronologically. And therefore, then the next 30 days, I want next. Then I want my 31 to 60 days, my 61 to 90 days, and my over 90 days. So you can see here, it's looking good. I can hit the X, and there we go. Now, as I mentioned, I might want to add some color to this just to, make certain things stand out. This looks nice, but there's nothing highlighting the past due from the rest of the options, and there's nothing highlighting those ones that are about to close and make them stand out from all the other information. So I'm going to add color. Since I want it to be colored based on the pipeline by timing, I'm going to grab my pill again. I'm going to go over to color and just simply put that on. So immediately it just picked a default color, and that's great, but as I've mentioned, it's not the colors I want. I can then press color and I can hit edit color. And I can either do, if I just wanted random colors, but I didn't like these, I could pick from, different types of palettes and hit assign palette, and it'll change that. Or I can manually change what I want. So I like this red, but it's a little too bright and loud for me. So I'm going to highlight past due and select a little bit softer over red. I'm going to make this next 30 days, this green. Again, hey, go work on these opportunities, get them closed. And then the rest of them, I'm just going to kind of make this more neutral teal, just so the report has the colors it needs, but isn't super overwhelming. Once I have that, I can simply X out of my colors. And now my report shows and communicates extra data without making it too busy. So next, I can see on each of these the estimated values that are in each kind of timing group, but maybe I actually want to know the count, how many opportunities actually exist in this. So I want to do that, but I also don't want to start adding more bars. I don't want to make this any busier than it is. What I can do then is put a detail on. So as you see, when I hover, I get little pieces of extra information. I can do that through this detail tab. So I'm going to grab the number of records and slide this up to detail. Now when I hover over it, I can see my pipeline by timing, what the estimated value is, but now also the number of opportunities in this. Looking at this now though, I want that my estimated value is very clearly a currency compared to the number of records, which is very clearly a count. also don't really want it as kind of top level. I want it a little more detailed. Right now it's just written in millions, but I want to maybe have it a little more granular. So I can change that by changing how I present the actual number. Since this is with my estimated value, I can come up to my estimated value up here, my PIL. I can click that, and I'm going to go to Format Number. So I have the choices. Do I want just it to be automatic, a percentage, currency? As I said, I want it to be currency. I don't want the decimal places because that just puts additional numbers on that we don't need. And as I said, I want it to just be a little more granular, and so I'm going to actually put these into thousands. Again, just click when you're done. And as you can see, it's changed both the format on the axis, and if I highlight my bar, I can then see the estimated value there has also been changed. And then that helps it kind of stand out a little bit more that that's a dollar value compared to the actual count on the number of records. When I'm ready, I can also name my report. I simply double click, and I'm going to say pipeline by timing. I've created now this report. I'm feeling really good about it. I think it achieves a lot of what Tableau is meant to do, which is tell you a story with the data. I can look at this. I know what's standing out. I know what I need to focus on. This now would be something that I would want maybe to publish and make available to users. So what I want to talk about here is then when you publish, what becomes available to the users. Basically, everything here on the workbook, the users can see, as well as everything here on the right-hand side. So when I publish, they would get this nice helpful icon to explain the pipeline by timing, but they'd also get the filter. And with that, they would actually be able to come in and interact with the filter. Where in this report, it really is just about active and pipeline data, and it wouldn't really be helpful if a user would come in and say, oh, but it's also closed lost, or it also includes closed won, because those things aren't in the pipeline anymore. So while this filter was extremely helpful in us building it, we know that it's basically a constant filter, and we don't want it available to our users when we publish it. So I'd come over here to my filters, and again, click, and you see the option Show Filter. If I unclick it, it removes it. So now, when we would save this and publish it and make it available for people to use, they no longer have the option of changing the background data behind the graph, which is very key because we have a very specific story we want to tell, and so changing that wouldn't be helpful. So when I'm done and I feel I've made a report that I'm happy with and I like, I can save it. So I'm going to hit File, Save As. You can save it. I'm going to save it under User Content. I'm going to say Intro to Tableau, Pipeline Reports. So as I mentioned earlier, since we have multiple worksheets, it is going to save all of those. So we have that saved. I'm going to show you in a little bit how you can reopen it. But first, I'm going to just show you one other functionality within Tableau. And then after that, I will show you how to open up this report in case you want to edit it. And I'm going to show you a more advanced report. So let's say you want to create a new report, but you're not really sure what it is you're looking for. There is a functionality in Tableau called Show Me. What this does is you tell it what information you want to use, and it will give you the possibilities that you have in Tableau. So let's say, because this is all about opportunities, it includes closed ones and active ones, but I would like to know basically what are our reason codes behind opportunities won and opportunities lost? Like what's the number of records in there? How are they broken up? What's the most common answer? So I could come over here to my dimensions, and I know I want my opportunity lost reason. I'd like to compare that to my opportunity won reason. And I want to kind of know how many records are broken up into that. So I've highlighted, I simply picked my pill and with the control button, just the same again, similar functionality to like when you're in Excel, Control allows me to pick multiple options without selecting them all. So I have my 3 things I'd like to start with, and I come over here to show me. And as you can see, some of these are illuminated and some are kind of faded out. So anything that's faded means it's not really going to work for me. So I'd maybe be able to create a map, but I can't because, as you can see at the bottom, it says what I need. So for maps, I would need 1 geographical location. I need 0 or more dimensions and either 0 or 1 measure, but I don't have that. If I wanted to do a bar graph, I would need 0 or more dimensions and at least 1 or more measures. I'm actually going to pick the tree map because I need 1 or more dimensions and either 1 or 2 measures. So it just kind of shows you where you can start working. And if you are like, no, I really wanted a specific line graph, then you know, oh, I need something with a date, and I can work to see I have a certain report in mind, but it's not working for me. This will help you get that. So as I said, I'm going to pick up the tree map. And what this does is it just starts to build your report for you. So it gives you a starting place. You might not be happy with this in the end, and it might not be what you wanted, but you at least have a really good starting point of what data you wanted to show and how to start working towards that. So if you're ever kind of stuck or you're stumbling in Tableau, definitely try out the Show Me tab. So with that, those were all the basic functionalities that I wanted to show you within the actual workbook. I'm going to close out of this. And I just wanted to show you how you could open up your specific saved reports that you've worked on and re-edit them. And I also want to show you an advanced kind of report that was made in Tableau to show you what you can end up getting to just by using Tableau and getting more comfortable in the system. So I'm going to select on user content because that is where I saved my report. As you remember, I called it Intro to Tableau Pipeline Reports. I can click View, and I have my 2 sheets. So you could have named them if you wanted, really your choice. So as you can see here, I've hit View, and now I'm able to see the actual report. So if I was an end user, I could come in here and I see my pipeline by timing. As I mentioned, we got rid of that filter, so they're unable to change how they wanted to work on the report or what kind of data was available. But I have all that important information that I wanted to express to them. It stands out. I know I could sit here and say, oh, I want to know about past due. I can even double click and just kind of view that information, highlight that. If you want to come in here, though, if you're unhappy, maybe you don't like the colors, or you want to rename something, you as the person who created it and worked on it can just come up here to edit, and it'll bring you right back into your actual workbook for Tableau. And then you'll be able to edit it and change what you had. So I just want to show you one more report just to show you what you can ultimately get to working in Tableau. So this is a top 25 customers for 2018 year to date based on shipments. What we do here with this is also we're highlighting the 2017 year to date shipment and also their total shipments. So this really tells me a story in Tableau. I can see who are our top 25 customers, but then I can also say, are we doing better with them this year, or should I have any types of concerns? So the teal bars are showing me my year-to-date shipments for 2018. And I can see that right away. I can go over it. I can see the dollar amounts associated with that and the number of records. But as I said, so 2017 will give me the year to day. So basically on this day, which is producing the teal bars compared to the same day last year. So for example, Tyson Foods jumps out to me because the orange dot is representing where we were back in 2017 on the same day and where we were year to date, and we're not performing on the same level. So that might be a concern. But Sargento Foods might also jump out to me because already now, with still a little bit of time left in the year, we've surpassed what we did with them last year. So this might also be something I want to kind of research and investigate more. So as you get more comfortable in Tableau, you can really work with the data and start to tell a story. This gives a lot of information, very simple, and highlights very quickly all the important pieces you want to put on there. Also, when I hover over Sargento Foods, I know it's in the top 25 this year, and it's roughly about number maybe 17, but I know from last year it was number 23, so we've actually even moved Sargento up. So all of this information, it allows you to identify key pieces of information very quickly. It's very aesthetically pleasing to the end users, so they're not overwhelmed with data, and it allows you to research and make choices based on the information we have. As you could see, as we worked through this, it really didn't take a long time to build a report. So you spend a little bit of time creating a report and you're providing a lot of information, updated always. Every time the data sources pool, which is nightly, it's going to get updated. And just a little bit of time and you have these great reports to tell a story with. So this was the intro to Tableau. I hope you feel comfortable getting into the system. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out either through the help desk or anybody who's working with Tableau, and we'll be able to help you further. Thank you.